What's happening, AC Nation? Hey, take a second there. I wanted to start doing a new thing. This thing's going to be really cool because I'm going to prepare you for the week in advance. I'm going to basically tell you all the things that are happening in history the week before, or at least a few days before, because it's going to be happening this week, from Monday to Sunday. This is what this Minisode Monday is all about. And every Monday, that's what I'm going to do. So they're not going to be exactly Minisodes anymore. They might be a little bit longer, especially if I keep giving this intro. But I'm going to give you really fast headlines of things that were happening in the world at this time. So let's start off with October 1st, just because that was yesterday and we didn't start. But it's something very significant. Thomas Edison and his company came out with the first light bulb. That was right. 1880, October 1st, 1880, the first light bulb was created. So that was yesterday. Today was the day that, back in 322 BC, before Christ, sorry to say, the Greek philosopher Aristotle, who's one of our cards, passed away. Also, one thing that Texas has a lot of state pride, and they have a lot of reason to do it. And this, in 1835, you guys might know the date, is a big marker for you. October 2nd, 1835, was the day that the Texas Americans stood up against Santa Anna and decided we were going to make a state. And yes, it started small, but it grew to so much more. And it might be the day to go check that out because it's October 2nd. So this Minisode Monday, go check out what happened with Texas and how they ended up creating their own state. Great story. You gotta check it out. Also, October 3rd, the British set off their first nuclear explosion. Now, I told you I was going to talk to you about 6 nuclear detonations that went off. October 3rd, 1952 was where the British came out with their first nuclear explosion, and they set it off in one of their warships. Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, it completely evaporated that whole thing. Vaporized that whole ship. It was gone, except for teeny little pieces. The whole ship was gone because they set off a nuke inside the boat. Yeah, sorry, inside the ship. It was a 1,370-ton frigate, and the thing was gone. Okay, so October 4th. What was happening on October 4th? This one's a big one. There's 2 of them, both with Russia. So the first one was 1957. This is when Sputnik was launched into space. The first artificial satellite was through Russia. So Russia had gone a heads up on the US in the space race. 1957. The Russians launched it, and it took us a little while later to actually launch our own. But we really made it up when we hit the moon, and that we'll be talking about later on. But the second one that was in Russia, October 4th, happened in 1993, when the White House was invaded. Now, it wasn't the U.S. White House. It was the Russian White House, where terrorists, rebels, pro-communist rebels, actually invaded the White House over there and took over. So that is another great story you need to check out. So October 5th, 1930, going back a little bit. So the R-101 rigid aircraft crashed on the edge of the woods in in France. Now, here's the interesting thing. Who was on board? So the plane was full with 48 people, and then came the Air Minister, Lord Thompson. Now, the interesting thing about this is the plane would have been fine, except that Thompson brought on so much luggage, the equivalent of 24 more people on the plane. If you know anything about aerodynamics, weight is a huge part of that, and you would think that the Air Minister would realize that. Could that be the reason why we only have allowed 1 carry-on and 1 bag? Probably not. But don't bring on enough for 24 people when that plane is completely full to capacity. Not a smart thing to do. October 6th. So I'm going to do this really fast. This one is, I'm going to do a whatever Wednesday on, but this is really important because October 6th was the day of, the Arabs attacked Israel. Not just from Egypt, though it was one of them, but also from Syria. And it was done on Yom Kippur, which is one of the most holy days of the Jewish calendar. So they attack thinking that they're going to bloody the Israel's nose to try to force them into doing certain treaties. The problem was it turned horribly on them. Now, the leader of Egypt was actually Sadat, which then in 1979 was when the Camp David Treaty, if you don't remember that, you need to look it up. It's where Egypt and Israel decided to make a peace treaty between the two. And that's why we have Camp David for the US president, because of this incident. So great to look at. But so 1973 is when he invaded. 1981. So 8 years later, Sadat was actually assassinated on that same exact day, 8 years later. I'm going to do a Whatever Wednesday on this because it's really important. There's a lot more to it. So we'll wait to that. And the last one. So trying to just finish this up. I'm going to make these quicker as we go because they're only supposed to be mini-sodes, right? October 7th, very important day, 2001. This is when President George Washington announced he was done with terrorism, especially coming from Afghanistan, and he attacked the terrorists in Afghanistan, brought it to their front with what was called Operation Enduring Freedom. Now, because of this, so many more things have happened, and some people might dispute if it was necessary to go into Afghanistan because so many other people have tried to take over Afghanistan. Not take over the government, but to get rid of the terrorism found in Afghanistan. Russia did the same thing. The US has done it a few times. Other countries have done it and have never succeeded. And even the United States in there is not doing the best job possible, but now they're starting to do a little bit better. And back in 2001 is when this actually started. So it was 16 years ago. Did it really need to take 16 years to do it? And yes, President Obama basically made it really, really hard for anything to happen in Afghanistan for 8 years. So 16 minus 8, there's still 8 years of potential. But even in 8 years, couldn't things have been done? So another interesting thing to look at for this Minisode Monday. So this is the week coming up. October 1st, which was Sunday, until October 7th, which is Saturday. Next week, we'll tell you another set of dates that were coming up because there are some really, really big things coming up for this month of October. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week. I hope this helps, and I hope that these help. If they don't, or if you have any questions, or if you like them, especially if you like them, please put your comments below so we can find out what you think. So we can make it a little bit better, a little bit different, change it up. You tell us. This is your site. This is your game. We're just the people running the business. So thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. If you have any comments or questions, add them to the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow actually. Take care. Bye.